Welcome to episode number 16 of the Between Two Brands podcast. I am still your host, Bill Petrie, and I want to thank you, as always, for joining me on this particular ride. Before we get going today, as I like to do, I want to pay a bill or two. Hey, did you know there's a ton of good coming out of our friends over at Bell Promo these days? Here's a few things. Lowest minimums in the industry? Yeah, you can Bell Promo that. Deepest inventory around? Oh, yeah, you can absolutely Bell Promo that. Five-star and A-plus service? Hell yes, you can Bell Promo that. 2-day production on both of their products? You know you can Bell Promo that. And if that weren't enough, and dang it should be, the good folks at Bell Promo have a few other things to share. Made in the USA merch? Yeah, you can Bell Promo that. They have a great selection of merchandise that's made here right in the USA. Free shipping on tech and apparel products? Oh, yeah. There's something else you can Bell Promo as well. So head over to bellpromo.com today to see all their amazing merchandise and feel confident that when your client asks you to create branded merchandise that's available with low minimums and 2-day production, you can tell them, oh yeah, I can Bell Promo that. Today, before we get rolling with our guest, I want to talk about two things. So let's go. Let's go in order. Sounds pretty logical to me. Let's start with this thing on Amazon and the tariffs. I'm recording this on Wednesday, April the 30th, so 500 things may have changed between when this drops on Friday, May the 2nd. But Amazon had planned to show how much of an item's cost is derived from tariffs, and they were going to list that right next to the listed price. Now, that was never implemented, but it leaked that they were planning on doing that, which apparently upset the administration. And I'll get to that in just a minute. This was the first thing I thought about was what a tremendous way for a brand to distance themselves from a price increase that they themselves cannot control. To me, it was a masterclass in very subtle marketing. The price doesn't change. It's going to go higher because of the tariffs. But it was a very subtle and direct and transparent, that's probably the best word for it, transparent way to explain here's how the cost is broken down. And I think as a consumer, I know I love that kind of transparency. Of course, that action or proposed action, I should say, was politicized, as just about anything is these days. I don't think it should have been politicized at all. Like I said, I think it's brilliant marketing. The tariffs are not the choice of the retailers. They're not the choice of anybody in the promotional products industry. They're not the choice of anybody except for the current administration and the people in charge who believe that tariffs are the way forward. And I am not going to weigh in on that. I don't really feel like I want to get into that conversation right now. All I know is that it's something we're all dealing with at this point. But this is government policy, and how Amazon or any other entity chooses to share the cost of why the goods is higher is up to them. Now, here's something I thought was really interesting. The Secretary of Commerce said, this is a hostile and political act because Amazon is going out of its way to make it seem like tariffs have caused prices to change. They have caused prices to change. At least they're going to. I think we're all like sitting here every single day bracing for impact. And like I said, I would like almost every retailer to show all of us how much the tariffs are causing the cost of goods to increase. To me, that is a very open, honest, ethical, transparent way to say this is what things cost. And maybe that actually helps us all understand tariffs better, for better or worse, depending on where you sit. To me, I just don't understand that quote. It is not a hostile act. It is called running your business the way you think you need to run it, by sharing what the actual cost is, how you get to that cost, and what percentage of it is tariffs. To me, it's no different than saying, here's your cost of the goods, and here's your local sales tax, here's your state tax, or whatever, your sales tax. It's no different. tariff is nothing more than a tax on the goods sold, and generally that gets passed on to consumer. So I hope Amazon actually reverses course and implements this. They backed off. Apparently, Jeff Bezos had a conversation with the president, and he's backed off on that. I would love every retailer to do this. I think I think it's brilliant. I think it's just brilliant, and especially from a marketing perspective, I think it's brilliant because it distances the company from any sort of, hey, why are you raising costs? Here's why we're raising costs. So that was number one. How about number two? Because that's usually logically what follows number one, isn't it? Um, I want to talk about volunteerism. There was a fantastic article on PPAI Media asking about 10 committee chairs why they volunteer. And as you know, PPAI is generally a volunteer driven entity. And I loved what people had to say. So they had some great answers from Denise Taschereau, who is the current PPAI board chair, Danny Rosen, who is the incoming PPAI board chair, Natasha Beard, who I work with at PPEF, the Promotional Products Education Foundation, Stephen Lazarus, who is the chair of the Regional Relations Committee. Chris O'Connor, a good guy over at NC Custom, who is the chair of the Leadership Action Committee. And I loved all their answers. I have been volunteering in this industry heavily for about 15, 20 years now. And I was honored last year to win the PPAI Icon Award for volunteerism and giving back to the industry. And I remember when I received that award, of course, I was humbled and was proud. But I had a lot of people say, why do you donate so much of your time and burn so many calories on this? And so even though I wasn't asked, I'm not a committee chair at this point, I thought I'd chime in why I volunteer and why I think it's important that you volunteer as well. I started off volunteering at regional associations, PPA Chicago, PPA MS, which is the Promotional Products Association in the Mid-South. That got me on the RAC board. I became chair of the RAC board. I worked on the editorial committee. I've worked on NALC work groups. I've worked on many work groups at PPAI. I'm currently the vice chair of marketing for the Promotional Products Education Foundation, and I'm also on GRAC, which is the Government Relations Action Committee. So I'm pretty active still. And I'm a busy guy. I'm sure, just like every one of you, we're all busy. So why do I do it? And it comes back to this. This industry has given me so much, so much. It would be so selfish of me not to give back. I wouldn't be half the person I am today. I wouldn't have experienced half the success, whatever that is defined as. I wouldn't have experienced half the success I have experienced in this industry without giving back. I have always gotten more. And so if you're looking to volunteer, talk to the folks at PPAI. They're always looking for fresh voices, new ideas, and people who are willing to give of themselves. And if that seems a little too onerous, hey, if you've been in the industry a while, why not head over to Promo Kitchen and sign up to be a mentor? That's something else I do and feel very passionate about is mentoring people in the promotional products industry. So there's many ways to do it, but I will tell you, the more you give, I will tell you, you get it back in spades by a factor of 10. So please, if you haven't read that article from PPI Media, go ahead and do that. But I would encourage every single one of you to get involved. It's really, truly, in my mind, the only way to leave a legacy in this industry of giving back. So there's my little volunteerism tutorial. I don't know if that's a word, but it is now. But before we run, let's do a quick sponsor read here. Hey, do you know what season it is? It's certainly spring, but it's also business valuation season. Now, maybe you don't know what your company is worth. Maybe it's been more than a few years since the last valuation, and you need a new benchmark to see if your company is increasing in value. Heck, you might want to see if it's even time to sell your business. Regardless of the reason, Jamie Watson and the experts over at Certified Marketing Consultants, they have extensive experience in the world of branded merchandise, and they have the financial knowledge necessary to provide a fact fact-based valuation for your business. Now, you can email them at info@certifiedmarketing.com for a confidential discussion today. Or if you're going to be at NALC here in about a week and a half in Chicago, Jamie Watson herself will be there and she'd love to meet with you. And you can email her at jamiew@certifiedmarketing.com to set up that same confidential discussion. All right, that's enough of my yakking. What do you say? Let's boogie. Today's guest needs absolutely no introduction, but I'm going to waste your time, my time, and certainly his time by doing it anyway. He is the owner of Vault Promotions, a supplier focused on personalized fulfillment programs, name badges, plates, tags, and cards. A self proclaimed badge nerd, he is approaching his 20th year selling this niche product inside the promotional products arena. When not deciphering between Arial and Futura fonts, he stays busy with, well, me, creating truly epic industry networking events with Promocations. Well, when he does have downtime, which is very rare, between the two companies, you'll find him traveling with his bride, Jill, rocking at a concert, foolishly cheering for the Cleveland Browns, or outdoors smoking meat, falsely claiming burger cooking contest victories against me. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the one and only Josh Robbins to Between Two Brands. Josh, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Bill. Always good to see you. It's been ages.
Yeah, well, what people may or may not know, Josh lives for the most part probably 10 miles from my house, but the way things are situated, it's a 45-minute drive either way. We see each other weekly on Zoom calls and things like that, but we physically see each other. We have to make plans.
Not
It's
enough.
not,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, not
never
enough.
bad. It's never enough, but we make it work. Well, Josh, again, thank you for coming on the show. Do
Yeah,
you have a topic you'd like to discuss at all before? I have some easy questions. I know you, but I can't wait for others to get to know you as well. Do you have any things you'd like to discuss today?
I would love to prolong your five questions, and just push
Okay,
those back here just a little bit.
let's
So I
push.
do I do have a question. This one actually just came up yesterday. I was sort of thinking about this, and I thought, well, this might be something that we can discuss. So I
I'll
want to
answer it
talk.
right now. 440 pounds is what I can bench press, and I don't like to talk about it,
No, I want to
but
talk
thank
about
you.
our personal political beliefs and stances on the implementation of tariffs.
Oh, excellent. Let's go.
No, I don't want to do that, but I do want to talk about tariffs because that
Yeah,
seems to be kind of, I mean, it's in the news. We're all sort of trying to
inundated.
navigate this. But what I wanted to talk about was tariff pricing models. So from a
Yeah,
supplier and a distributor standpoint, just to make this
yeah,
more industry related. Okay, so yesterday there was a report, and who knows whether it was accurate or not, that Amazon was going to kind of line item a tariff surcharge.
yeah.
That then got canned right away. News reports were flying saying, okay, we're not doing that. But I kind of wondered if there wasn't merit to doing that. Instead of doing a cost plus pricing where you just roll
Yeah.
everything in and just give somebody one cost, is there any merit in our industry to having a tariff surcharge? And or does it even matter?
Yeah, so this is great. So, I do a little preamble before you and I record. I talked about this exact thing, but I didn't really equate it to our industry. So, this is actually a perfect segue.
Well, good.
First of all, I think the idea behind it, just let's look at it from a retail perspective, then draw it into the industry. And I want to hear your thoughts too.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant marketing. I think it's a very subtle way to say we're not responsible for the pricing changes. It's not some way to enhance our profit. It is not some way to get more money out of our customers.
Yeah.
It's what it is. To me, it is no different than when I see the price of a product and I see my local sales tax, I see
Yeah.
my state sales tax. To me,
Right.
and a tariff is nothing more than a tax on a good that's imported from whatever country it's imported in. So
Sure.
I think it was brilliant. I hated that Amazon immediately backed off on it. I'm not sure they really ever had plans to do it. I think it was just floated out there to
I think so
see
too. Yeah.
what would
Yeah.
happen. I think it would be great to see it not only everywhere in retail, because it would help me make more informed decisions. Whether you're pro tariff or anti tariff, it would help you make more informed decisions and see how tariffs actually impact the cost of goods.
That's kind of what I thought too, in that, very much in the same vein as people wanting eco-friendly until they see the price tag. I
Yeah.
wonder if it would raise awareness of how much stuff we actually purchase that is imported that you may not even realize or think, whether you care or not, kind of seeing that tariff line item is like, oh, well, that's an import. Is there a domestic option for this particular item that maybe I could go hunt out? Or like it just might make you more aware of it.
Yeah, it's information. And I think for our industry, it would be great information to have. I know we all try to look as a consumer, I don't necessarily want every single breakout of what things cost. A bottom line price generally is fine, but
Yeah.
times call for strange strategies. And I think adding a line item of this is the increase of tariffs for this particular product
Yeah.
makes all the sense in the world. And again, what the brilliance behind it is the company, whether it's Vault or Amazon, when you put that on there, you're not making a political statement. And I hated how it got politicized very quickly by the Commerce
It's going to
Secretary
be
yesterday. It was
politicized. Yeah.
complete bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not politicized. It's a fact. So you're not making a political statement, but you're drawing attention to this is a pricing increase out of our control.
Yeah,
And I
no,
think
I
that's important.
agree. I do wonder, like more in a tactical way. I guess where my mind was going as a vendor,
Yeah.
and luckily, Vault Promotions, we don't really import a whole lot. Most of everything we make is USA made, so this isn't affecting us to the to the lengths that it is others. But from my standpoint, it would just be easier logistically to tack on a line item, especially with
Yeah.
the way that these tariffs are bouncing around and today they're this and tomorrow they're that, and they may not even be there. And to restructure your entire catalog of products as cost plus is just difficult and a lot of work. Whereas today, this is the tariff. I can put
Right.
this line item on every order that we have. And if that changes next week, so does that line item. It just logistically, it makes more sense from a vendor standpoint. But I also worry from a distributor standpoint, is this another hidden charge that you weren't aware of when you were quoting a client? And okay, well, you didn't have the price rolled in, so I quoted based off your normal price, and now
Right.
I've got my sales order or my invoice, and you're hitting me with, this line item that I did not quote. And so I think
Yeah.
communication is going to be key no matter what, but I do worry about kind of both sides of that.
I do too, and I think you bring up an excellent point that I didn't think about the logistical nightmare of price adjustments because, we're recording this on April 30th. This will drop May 2nd, and tariffs may go up, they may go down, they may go sideways. I have no idea what's going to happen. And so I've been asked a lot by both my distributor clients and supplier clients, what do we tell people?
Yeah,
And I have defaulted to um, I think you say, we are monitoring the situation. I said, do not make any declarative statements, whether it's a date, whether it's any sort of certainty, because you don't know what's going on. I'm
yeah,
not convinced the administration at this point knows what's going on.
right.
It feels like, at least from a consumer of what's happening, that it's just happening on the fly. I don't
Yeah, it,
know
it, it
what's going
is.
to
And
happen.
yeah, I
And
also
so,
think that because of that and because we all see this, that there's kind of this weird level of grace that's being given across the board
yep,
because we're all sort of in the same boat. And that's generally not the case, especially when you're talking about
no,
price hikes.
yeah,
Those usually are not met with the kind of grace that I think they are right now, just because
right
we're
now.
all trying to get our head above the water. Yeah.
I think you're right. And again, the communication I've told both suppliers and distributors to their whoever their client is, whether it's a distributor client for a supplier, a end user client for a distributor.
Yeah.
If you know you have plans, I would suggest you order now because there's inventory
Sure.
and it's available. But it would be irresponsible to say anything beyond that. To say we're going to hold prices firm till June 1st, I would not say anything like that.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just again, people understand we're all in the same boat of confusion. Don't
Hmm.
act like you know better than everybody else because I guarantee you don't.
Very true. It's very true. All right, I've got another topic. I'm gonna lighten this up just a little bit here.
Okay.
So
All right.
the
Okay. All
title of
right.
my topic is Are Mascots Making a Comeback? Okay. So, but before I dig into why I brought this up, I want to play a game with you real quick. So this is a game
Okay. I
that you're
love
very
games.
familiar with. You might have invented the game, But I want you to rank the following mascots from 1 to 5 based on your personal preference. You
Okay. Am I
can't
doing this
change
blind?
answers.
Am
You're
I
doing
doing
it
blind
blind.
ranking?
Yep, you
Okay.
can't change
No problem.
answers. So whatever you give me, I'm going to record.
Okay.
Chester Cheetah, 1 through 5.
Chester Cheetah, good. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say three. Chester Cheetah's right in the middle. I think he does a good job. I equate him with the brand. Chester Cheetah, number three, all day long.
That's fair. Yeah. Mr. Clean.
Boy, Mr. Clean, iconic, but has seemed to kind of fallen into the where are they now file. I'm going to go ahead and say number four in Mr. Clean.
The Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah. Okay, so here's where I'm starting to get a little nervous because I know there's a really good, a really shitty one coming up, and if I put, I don't want to be left with one.
No, there's no
Um,
games here. It's just five
oh, there
mascots that
are.
I've picked out and I'm just giving them to you in no specific order.
I know how this works. Trust me. I'm going to go ahead. Pillsbury Doughboy, iconic. But again, when was the last time I saw him? I'm going number five, Pillsbury Doughboy. So now I've got one and two left, which is I've boxed myself into a stupid corner.
Maybe Tony the Tiger.
Tony the Tiger, number one, number one. He's great.
Brutus Buckeye.
Bruce Buckeye, unfortunately, is number five. So we're going to go ahead and move
No,
the
sir, I
Pillsbury
think
Doughboy
two I
to
think
number
two is
two.
two is what was left. So just so that I'm clear,
Yeah.
you think that Brutus the Buckeye is the second best mascot of all time?
I've been
That is
boxed into a.
amazing. Good job. And quite
Okay.
frankly,
Okay.
I do agree with you, Bill, as I do on many
I
things. You nailed it.
I fell into a trap of my own making. I don't like this game. I like it when I'm talking to Kirby and I get to say wrong and things like that. I don't like the whip
There are
reversed
no
on
wrong
me.
answers. There are no, it's
Yes, there are.
especially your Brutus Buckeye answer is not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I brought this
Is
up is
Mhm.
hotels.com. So they introduced their new mascot, Bellboy. So they're kind of going through a whole research. You haven't seen this.
Nope.
They're going through a whole kind of resurgence post-COVID. They're restructuring some things. They canned Captain Obvious a while back, and now they're
Okay.
bringing mascot. It's a little like a front desk bell that has arms and legs, and they're going to plaster
Sounds
him all over
creepy.
everything moving forward.
Okay.
But they're not the only ones that have been bringing back mascots lately. So McDonald's dusted off Grimace recently with a shake, and then
Okay.
he's in the Minecraft movie. Not that I've seen that. Hank the Buffalo at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yep.
Domino's had Max Scott the mascot. Limu Emu, on and on and on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my question is, so we used to see these mascots everywhere when I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s. Mascots were kind of, hand in hand with a lot of brands.
Sure.
Are they making a comeback and are they more effective than a traditional spokesperson? Um, and is the reason they're making a comeback because they speak to a younger generation or they're trying to speak to a younger generation, or do they work for older generations as well?
Well, I think you asked a couple questions there, so I'm gonna try to answer them all. I think first of all, I do think they're making a comeback. I have noticed that the Buffalo Wild Wings, the Emu, and all that. I think, it because they're not a real person, that mascot can take on a persona that might have a little more of an edge to it,
Yeah,
and it gets a little bit of a hall pass because it's not a human being saying this, that, or the next thing.
totally
So
agree. Yeah.
for yeah, for example, the Buffalo for Buffalo Wild Wings, it is borderline misogynistic. It's just all about dudes and hanging out. Whereas if it was a spokesperson, I'm not sure that would be looked on the same way. At least that's my perception of it. I
I agree
don't.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they're making a comeback, but I think they connect with every generation. I mean, I grew up, I'm about 15 years older than you. So I grew up in the late 70s and early 80s was my, prime time. But that's why Tony the Tiger, when you said Tony the Tiger, I was like, that's number
Done.
one. I remember all those commercials. I think it can bring back a bit of nostalgia. So, like you mentioned, Domino's has some new mascot. I'm not familiar with it. But if they brought back the Noid and
Yeah.
avoid the Noid, I would
Yeah.
be all in on it just because instantly, like music, like good music or an excellent promotional product, it transports you back and it makes you kind of think, I remember the first time I saw that commercial and the claymation Noid or whatever it is. So I think it works on both levels. I think it also makes brands far more approachable when done correctly.
Hmm.
The Limu Emu, for example, I'm not sure I get that one. That one's a
Kind of
little
like push him
lost
off the
on me.
cliff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like I liked Captain Obvious for Hotels.com.
Sure.
I'm not sure I like Walking Bell, but I haven't seen it, so I'm not gonna. I'll reserve my judgment. But I like the mascot when done well, and it's not always done well. I
No,
mean,
it's
you
it's
hell,
it's
look at
bad.
our
And I mean,
look at our industry. Common Skew has SkewBot.
yeah.
SkewBot is synonymous with Common Skew, and they've
Yeah.
done a
Well, and I
great
think
job with
about
that.
what is it, Showdown that has the ninja that's running around all the trade
Yeah,
show
perfect
floors.
one.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
and even
so
Vault has the Badge Master.
yeah, I don't know about that. He's
Yep.
not made an appearance on the trade show floor. All right, so that I can waste more time and try
Yeah.
to not answer your questions, what's your personal favorite mascot of all time?
Well, it is not Brutus the Barber Beefcake from Ohio State, that's for sure.
Well, no, he's your number two, which is understandable.
Yeah, he is
Yeah.
number two, that's for sure, in many ways. Every way you can be number two. I'd say I have a soft spot in my heart for uh, can we go phony mascot? I'll give you a real mascot and a phony mascot. Real mascot is
Totally
the
man.
Michelin Man. I think it's iconic. I love the Michelin Man. It was, if you look back way in history, it was introduced like in 1910. It was
He's been
actually a
around
dude
forever,
wearing a
yeah.
bunch of white tires. I like that it's still around. My fake one, the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a mascot. I understand
Sure
why you
is.
classified him as phony, but I mean, he was kind of synonymous with that movie, the
Yeah.
toys and the branding, and yeah, I
Um,
could see that. I could see that.
Yeah, that's one. A couple other ones that come to mind. Rice Krispie, Snap Crackle and Pop.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. What is your favorite? Let's get sports out of it. What is your favorite consumer brand mascot of all time?
I would probably say the Kool-Aid Man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how can you not love him as a kid? But that's
Oh,
also like not from a branding, I guess maybe from a branding perspective as an adult,
yeah,
I think it's great. Spuds McKenzie is another one that comes to mind, even though he
good
wasn't
one.
long lived, but Spuds was, I remember
Yeah,
being at Six Flags in
everywhere.
Texas and trying to win the Spuds McKenzie,
Yeah.
stuffed animal. Yeah, so those are probably
Well,
mine
and
too.
what's good is neither one of us mentioned Joe Camel. That's good. And the second is regarding the Kool-Aid Man. I think that's a great one. I remember all those commercials and the fact that he grew up to be the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Pretty amazing.
That is
Okay.
amazing. Yeah,
Um,
hell of a
all
coach.
right. All right. You're done with your topics. I don't care if you
Uh,
have a third one. You're not putting off the questions. Now, this is just this, there's no wrong answers. I just want to get to know you a little better. And I know you very well, but I want our audience, all 12 of them, to know you on a different level, to know you like I know you.
nice.
Josh, question number A. Vault Promotions is essentially the Supreme Court of badges, and the company is famous for very funny badges like Chief Beverage Officer and things like that you give out at PPI Expo. If you had to wear one of the following badges at every industry event for the rest of your life, which one would you choose? And I'd like you to defend your choice. You have four choices. Here's the first one. Option A, still waiting for a Browns parade. Option B, self-reported cook-off champion. C, Beatles disrespect task force. No, and option D, parlay Picasso, turning three sure things into one sad story.
A lot of those are accurate with the exception of one. Yeah. The antagonist inside of me wants to wear the Beatles one, but I also don't like having those conversations because I do that more to get under people's skin. Probably the Browns ones, the parade.
Still waiting
Um,
for a Browns parade. Okay.
Waiting for a Browns parade. Yeah, it's honest. It's exactly how I feel. Plus, being Browns fan, you get to have
Yeah.
conversations with other people. It brings up sports. It's an easy icebreaker. That's my defense of that answer. It's true. It talks about who I am and the Browns. I will always be waiting on a parade that's not an 0-16 parade.
Okay. Great. You're off to a fantastic start. See, now Josh hasn't seen these questions, so he's getting them blind just like you are. So he doesn't know what's coming up next. Okay, John. For people who don't know, you and Vault were investors in Brandivate, which, let's be honest, it's the only reason I haven't resorted to standing outside Walmart offering to ghostwrite LinkedIn profiles. When you decided to invest, was it A, because you lost a bet? B, you thought you were Venmoing someone else named Bill? Or, whoa, we just had a, I hate my camera. It just
That
zoomed in if
that
you're
happened at the
watching.
right time, though.
It sure did. All
That
right.
was
So
awesome.
option B, you thought you were Venmoing someone else named Bill. Or C, you were just looking for a tax write-off.
Yeah, I don't know that it was either any of those. I
Okay.
can't pick any of those three choices. I think the main thing for us was that I saw the value in you and the company, and I had an ability to help out in a tiny way, and so that was what we wanted to do. I
Well,
didn't really
more
look
than a
at
tiny
it.
way.
What's that?
More than a tiny way. More than a
No,
tiny
no, I mean
way.
everything that you've done has been totally you. So I just saw the value in you and I saw the
Yeah.
value in Brand of Eight, wanted to make that a reality, and I just happened to be in a position to help do that. So
Well, and you did. And for those of you who don't know, when I decided to leave Promo Corner right at the onset of COVID, Josh and I went and had a drink, and I was telling him, he was like, "What are you going to do?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know." And I said, "Here's kind of what I'm thinking." And Josh said, "Let me help here." And he did. And Brandivate wouldn't exist, and people need to know this. Brandivate wouldn't exist without the generosity of Josh and the belief in Josh from Josh and Andy at Vault that I would be able to pull it off. And so I will always be in your debt for that. So that's the non-joking section of this question and answer session.
yeah, no, I mean I think you give us a little bit too much credit there, but
I
thank you
do.
for saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I do.
I do know though that when you find yourself in a position like that where you have this strong aspiration and belief that you can pull something off, but you don't necessarily have the support to get it off the ground, it's tough. I mean,
Yeah,
we went through that with Vault, when
absolutely. Oh, I
when
know.
the former company that we were with was bought out and we were all laid off. I knew that Vault could be successful, but
Yeah,
how you actually get it off the ground is a whole nother, a whole nother question. And if we had support back then, it would have been a no-brainer. We would have dove right in. Instead, I kind of
yeah,
tipped my toes in the water to see, okay, can we make this work?
yeah.
Without, ruining my entire life in the
Well,
process.
well, you don't take enough credit because Brandivate wouldn't exist without you. Yes, I've done a lot of the work and all that, but the belief and the support, and quite frankly, the mentorship you've given me for running my own business has been invaluable. So, honestly, again, thank you. Let's move on. It's getting a little sappy. Okay. All
Yes.
right. All right, George. You love sports, namely the Ohio State Buckeyes, Texas Rangers, Dallas Mavericks, and the sad Cleveland Browns. Now, speaking of the Cleveland Browns, Shedeur Sanders, who was once projected as a top 5 pick, but somehow dropped into the Browns' hands in the 5th round, right? Are the Browns trying to win football games or simply committed to building the saddest ESPN documentary ever filmed?
No, it can't get any more sad, Bill. I mean, you could write the documentary right now and the Browns take it hands down. So we're back, baby. We are back. The Browns are back. And not because we got Shador in the fifth, although I love him in the fifth. And you can attest to this. I wanted nothing to do with the kid when, at number two. I didn't want him in the second round. I didn't want him in the third round. Starts getting to the fourth and the fifth round. I'm like, okay, this might be a deal. So
Hmm.
I'm happy with the selection. Bill, just so you know, Browns are now America's team.
I don't really think that's the case. I think your tune, as it is wont to do, will change the second Dion gets in there and starts telling, he's going to start yapping. You say he won't. I say he will. Now, Josh and I had a bet going into the draft. I had said that Browns would take Shador in the first or second round, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't even think I said that.
Wrong
I think I just
rounds.
said
You were right on the player though.
I was right on the
That's a good
player. I
player.
was right
Yeah.
on the player,
Yeah.
and but I was wrong on the timing of. It. But that's okay. All right. We co-founded Promocations, a bold move combining our mutual passions for marketing, better industry networking events, and irresponsible bar tabs. Looking back, do you think our real inspiration for Promocations was disrupting the networking landscape, seeing how far we could push the definition of work trip before someone called HR, or secretly competing to see who could drink the most Miami Vices for breakfast at a swim up pool bar.
Yeah, the first two. Yeah,
Yeah,
the first two. I mean, the truth of the matter is, it was kind of a wild idea,
yeah,
and thankfully, you're just as nuts as I am. I think the true test is, both of us have thriving businesses that demand all of our time. Not
yeah.
40 hours a week, but there are businesses. So other business owners know that's an 80-hour a week job minimum. Can you launch another company? Even though it has great and wonderful merit and will work,
Yeah.
just from a time perspective, is that even possible? That's the craziness I think that people maybe don't realize about Promocations and some of the events that we've done. The fact that we've been able to do it and pull it off kind of
Yeah.
in the extra hours that we somehow find is insane looking back.
It is, and it's something I know we're both tremendously proud of. When we had some goals when we launched it, and to be clear, it was Josh's idea, and then we kind of built on his idea for where we're at today. But it was Josh's idea, and we wanted to launch it years ago, but it was COVID, so we didn't.
Yeah.
But to see what it's become, to see a group of people. And look, this industry is great for networking and great getting people together.
Yeah.
Expo is always fantastic for that, but this is truly, and it's not being braggadocious at all. It's next level because each event forms its own little family. And
Yeah.
then there's a larger
Wild.
promocations family, and it's truly fantastic. The support people have had when some members have gone through a challenging time and all that. It's just been nothing but phenomenal. So
Yeah, it has. I mean, as a supplier that's familiar with kind of those one-on-one, hotel meetings,
yeah,
I always knew that the value was there for the suppliers meeting the distributors. One of the things that surprised me though, as we've done, some of these events, is the amount of community that the suppliers have with each other, the distributors
yep,
have with each other, and the suppliers and distributors have all as a group. I mean, it's not necessarily suppliers getting POs just from distributors and calling it a
right.
success. It's this whole kind of family
Community.
atmosphere that's born at
Yeah,
one of these events that is just wild to me that
it
how
is.
sticky it is.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned value, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say there's two valuable spots left if you're looking to join us at our first land-based event, which would be in Los Cabos.
Man, I
That
can't
would
wait.
be July 3rd. Yeah, it's July 13th. We do have two supplier spots left, so you can either email us at relax@promocations.com, or you can just simply go on the website and check it out, which is promocations.com/Los Cabos. All
Join
right,
us at
last
Cabo,
question.
guys. We're excited for this. Let's go.
We are pumped. Land based. We're going to have a great time. I'm personally leading a group of people to one of my meccas, which is the Cabo Wabo Cantina. Sammy Hagar. All right. Last question, Josh. You wrongly, very wrongly, insist that the Beatles is nothing more than a boy band. Are you sure you're qualified to have opinions about music? Or should we limit your ranking to commercial jingles and deciding which Kids Bop album slaps the hardest?
Probably the latter. However, I am valid to have an opinion on everything, and I do. And the
Oh, you
Beatles
do. Oh,
are
no
a boy
question.
band.
Okay. We're not.
And
I'm not
no,
even
I
gonna
am
have to.
not qualified from a musical standpoint to say that.
Well,
However,
don't.
songs suck, man.
Yeah.
All of them
Okay.
suck. They're just
Yeah.
terrible songwriting. The music is terrible. I'm not one for harmonies. Give me something harder. Give me a Master of Puppets Metallica.
Okay. You know what? I'm certainly glad. Here's the thing. I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm going to let the audience attack you and tell
And
you
they
you're
will.
wrong because you are. Hey,
And they
real
will.
quick before we wrap up, how about a little rapid fire, kids? That's right. There's no
Oh,
wrong answers here. Just some fun questions, a little personality stuff for Josh. Josh, if you could, he's got to put his hat on backwards. So here's where we go.
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Just so there's no right or wrong answers, Josh. This is
I'm
just
familiar.
whatever. Yeah. All right. Beach chair or bar stool?
Beach chair.
Badge master or bourbon master?
Badge Master.
Okay. Beatles music or the sound of dial-up internet connecting?
Dial up internet all day long.
Wrong. The answer is Beatles, sir. Always Beatles. Cleveland Browns win the Super Bowl, or WWE allows you to wrestle under the name of Badgemaster.
Mm, Brown Super Bowl.
Okay. I can't argue with that.
Brown Super Bowl.
Winning a hamburger cook-off or having everyone think you won a hamburger cook-off.
So thought, I had a hunch this might come up. So I would just like to show your entire listening audience actual proof.
There's a video. Oh, there's a video of that's right. I said something like Josh won the contest. You can't hear the audio, unfortunately, so I'm narrating that video for
So
you.
that is your video admission that I did
Yeah.
win the burger contest.
So a couple things about that video. I don't know if you're familiar with the term duress. I recorded that video under severe duress, and so unfortunately, that is not admissible in hamburger court.
Mm.
So the jury is still very much out. Shador Sanders or Johnny Manziel?
Shador Sanders.
Yeah, I can't argue with that one. Better burger, Bill or Josh?
Josh,
Wrong.
you do make a good burger. You do make a
And
tasty
you
burger.
do as well. Better old fashioned, Bill or Josh?
Bill, Bill, all day long.
Correct. And here's how Josh knows. I've made Josh a measurable number of old fashions. How many times do I stir an old fashioned, Josh?
40.
Correct. All right. So, hey, Josh, thanks for coming on. This is fun. Before we go, let's thank our sponsor, shall we? We talked about all the good Josh and I experienced. Let's talk about some of the good coming out of Bell Promo these days. Lowest minimums in the industry, deepest inventory round, 5-star and A+ service, 2-day production on most of their products. Heck yeah, you can Bell Promo all that. Let's add two more things. A lot of made in the USA merchandise and what's the other one? Oh, free shipping on tech and apparel items. You can Bell Promo both of those as well. So visit them at bellpromo.com. You're not going to be sorry you did. Josh, again, thank you for
Thanks for having me.
being part of this little tomfoolery, and we'll have to probably never do this again.